we're going to go so off script and so non-filter, and I just love that. It's so liberating.
Yeah.
And our love feels so beautiful. And it took a lot of courage and bravery to get to this space right now with each other.
Yeah.
And to express it over media is really liberating and really vulnerable and raw, but I'm stoked. I'm stoked because I'm with you and we're doing it. And, I was just reflecting on this beautiful day the other day where you were coming into the kitchen and there was midday and the light was coming in, it was shining on your face, and it was like beautiful. And what was beautiful beyond just your beauty, like physical beauty, was the fact that you were you were in your experience. You were going through, I could feel like you were navigating and feeling a lot, but you weren't projecting it onto me with the moment you got in the door. Like you weren't like, whoa, trying to unload like on me. You were noticing I was there, but you were still in your experience and you were breathing and you were navigating it. And it felt really attractive and really beautiful, actually, because I could tell that you respected me enough and the space that I was cultivating in to not just penetrate it with like your like agitation, but I could also tell that if you really needed to, you would, but you would do it in a way where you were asking for my presence, or you wouldn't just like throw it at me. You'd actually be honoring of me. And I just found you so beautiful in that moment because you were just so actually truly loving and respecting of not only yourself, myself, but just of us. And I saw a lot of strength in you in that. And it made me be able to discern what was needed. And I think the old me would have been like, oh, this feels like really raw. And like, I could tell she's feeling a lot. I'm either going to book it off to the man cave or I'd be like, whoa, a female feeling a lot. Oh my God. Old self would have been like, whoa. Or I'd be like, okay, here's this and try to fix it for you. And it's like quite cool to reflect on, me just being like, cool, she's in her experience. And I can feel that this is going to be a beautiful moment and I just came up to you and I held you in and I kissed you and it slowed the moment down. And all of a sudden you just were like, whoa. And we just like felt each other and it dissolved a lot. It felt very visceral. And in that moment with the light shining, I was like, whoa, beautiful moment. And yeah, I just really respected how I handled that. And I'm just reflecting on how much trial and error it's gone to get to there. And like, yes, we did it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's so interesting you say that the journey for you to get to that point was reprogramming the masculine aspect of like fight or flight, wanting to run away, or B, stay and then fight the situation to try to fix the problem,
to control it,
the thing that isn't really feeling the best. You want to make
how
it feel
I want
better.
it to be versus what it needs to be.
Yeah. And I've seen how much you've grown in your ability to hold space and to actually hold, like, be the container for whatever wants to be expressed or however I'm feeling. When I come into a space with you, I know that I feel safe to express and to be exactly how I am in whatever facet. And yeah, I remember that day, and I am reflecting as you're speaking on how I was feeling when I walked in the door, and
what was it like for you?
I felt like also very similar, like a mirroring of what you're talking about. I felt like it's taken me a long time to get to a place where I can love myself enough to actually just be however I am and not have to, because most of our society is always telling us that we need to be polite and a good energy and like show up in a certain way to be like loved and respected.
The good girl, the good boy.
The good,
gotta be that.
And like for me, like I grew up in a household that was very loving and accepting. And there's always that pressure, especially with many siblings. Like I grew up with 3 siblings. There's always that
only child
that
over here,
feeling. So yeah, it's so different.
Like. Yeah.
There's always that feeling of like responsibility of like the energy that you're bringing to the space is going to affect everyone in the room.
Right.
And so even though I know that I'm always loved and accepted, and I'm so grateful that I grew up with this understanding that like no matter how I show up, I'm always going to be loved. Even so, there's still so much programming in the world outside of the family dynamic that tells us that, well, we're responsible for the energy that we're bringing, and so we need to bring our best self, we need to bring our A game, we need to like show up as the best version of ourselves all the time.
Right. It's suffocating.
And what if the best version of ourselves is actually the most authentic, present, real,
wherever that's at,
expression?
Yeah.
Because in that moment, I was allowing myself to just feel how I was feeling, and like you said, I wasn't projecting it on you. No. I wasn't like offloading or venting, but I also wasn't masking. I wasn't. It's not like I, you know, did the thing where I used to do this, where I would about to open the door and just be like, okay,
we've all done
like
that.
This is how I'm gonna be, and like put on the like ding, like I'm gonna show up and like make everyone happy. Which is like, it's so beautiful too, because it's coming from a place of the intention is to make everyone feel good.
Yeah, but you're abandoning yourself.
Yes, exactly.
You know?
If you're coming from a place of wanting to make everyone outside of you feel good without genuinely coming from that place, it's like I always had that pattern that I had to switch in my life growing up, where I was always trying to give from an empty cup. And I still catch myself. In so many moments, I'm like, whoa, like there's a boundary that I cross with myself where I'm like, I actually haven't been fulfilling I haven't fulfilling my needs before I'm trying to fulfill other people's needs. It's so easy to fall into that trap, because we think, oh, well, I just, the moment that I fulfill their needs, they feel better, and then that's going to make me feel better. But that's not how it works.
But then you're relying on the other person's experience of you offering that.
Yeah.
And then it's not coming from a center itself.
Well, exactly. And then that's where you get into codependent dynamics, which I have had many.
Same. Absolutely.
Because you're now relying on the other person because you've created the construct of they need to feel good before I can feel good. Yeah. And when they're not around, then you can't, you don't have the tools.
Yeah. What's surreal is that being in a codependent relationship in the past, I could tell at the beginning of our relationship that those patterns were wanting to be played with each other. And I could feel you being like separating your energy from me, because you could feel like you didn't want to go down that road. And for me wanting to kind of, because I'm used to it, that's my love language, was so much giving. Yeah. And then realizing like, wait, like if I really solidly reflect on myself and like, what do I need in this moment? And like reflections like that, which is like actually pretty radical for me, because as an only child, I was very like always looking outside as to how I can control and like support the situation. Was radical to switch that up. And then from that place, I'm moving genuinely into the space. And then therefore you're able to drop in deeper with me. And I felt like your sense of trust with me, the moment I shifted gears on that, was massive. Absolutely. And I was like, you don't realize how much it impacts a relationship until you do it. It's like, it's such a concept until it's lived. And even then it's like, I catch myself in moments where I'm like, oh, that's like an old aspect. But instead of shamifying it, I'm like, oh, it's okay. Like, for sure.
Shamifying, that's a funny word.
Shamifying. I think I just made that up.
I was like...
Is that a new one? Yeah.
Wait, isn't it just shaming?
It's shamifying. Sure.
Shamifying is like shame on like turbo speed.
Yeah, that's like times 100. Yeah, whoa. And, we've been there.
It's a lot of shame.
Yeah, it's a lot. But yeah, like with you, I feel like I could show up however I need to be. And I think it's really vice versa. Like in that moment when you came in, I was like, whoa, you're just radically yourself. And you're not apologizing for it. You're not faking it. You're not, because even if you I remember in the past, you'd come in with like the smile, but it's like, I can tell that I can feel you, right? Like I'm your partner. So I can feel like there's more there. And so it took a little bit longer to break the ice so that we can get to that soft space. But you've gotten to a place now where it's just like you're just in the soft space. And because there's no fear. Yeah. And I think that's like a radical, that's a radical thing.
Yeah.
Like,
it's taken a long time. Totally, because it is about feeling safe and feeling like I'm not responsible for how you feel. I'm responsible for how I feel. Yeah. And if you allow me to feel safe to express how I feel, you're naturally going to feel authentically expressed as well. Because because when you see that I'm feeling safe enough to be authentic, that makes you safe enough. It's like a permission slip.
Yes, yeah.
And
you're so true. Yeah.
So for that to happen, you need to have that self-reliance of like, no, I'm choosing how I'm going to feel.
Yeah. And that's interesting is like whenever we get into like a little bit of a, like a tension with each other, it's because we're not doing that. And like we're giving our power away. And from that state of disempowerment, believing that we don't have reign on ourselves and we have to rely on each other feeling good in order to feel good, it's a spiral that just doesn't go up, So really being like, yo, I think I've gotten really good in the since the past of being like, whoa, okay, and then like we're in it instead of just getting wrapped up. I think that's really a power that men can have is being like, I'm not letting this spiral win, and I'm gonna be like creating a structure in this moment that doesn't allow for that energy to come leaking in anymore.
Right.
And we're going to completely shake this up, and I'm going to ground this down, and we're going to do this together. And sometimes you do that for me, and like it depends on the moment, right? Like it's not always me, and that's the beautiful art of it is that when you know each other after so long, like we've known each other for 10 years ish as friends, and then 7 years together, and now we're getting married in September. So it's just like, what a journey of softening, exploring, like tenderness, fear, courage, and rinse, repeat, choosing each other day by day. And it's beautiful because I can see myself in you so much. And it's like we're learning on turbo speed because we're just so honoring of each other's experiences. It's like, like I feel that way too.
Yeah. And
like we're in this together in it. And that makes us stronger instead of being like, okay, that's your thing. Like, oh, you're feeling like that? Well, even though I am, like, I just don't want to feel that, and just like freak out. It's like we choose to show up in the fire together and actually choose to feel it, even if it's uncomfortable. Yeah. And have those
it's that willingness to have the conversations. It's the willingness to feel the feelings. It's the willingness to be in those uncomfortable, like, awkward, vulnerable.
That's the most loving thing you can do.
It really is, though. Because if you can be uncomfortable and vulnerable, then the highs feel so much better. I
feel like I'm on MDMA with you often because I'm just like, wow, we're like on an octave right now. It's pretty high up. It's like because it took a lot of lower octave, like witnessing, honoring, seeing that, and moving through and accepting those parts of ourselves that are pretty damn uncomfortable. And that comes from a lot of just life that happens along the way,
Yeah.
Aww. That was fun. If you enjoyed this, we're just going to keep creating more content like this and just unscripted, totally raw, just enjoying each other. And
being present.
Yeah. If this inspired more conversation with people in your life that you love, your family members, friends, yourself, talk about that. Like inspire that further in your life and drop some questions that you may want to prompt forward to us to express with each other in the comments. Like, let's keep this an open conversation, keep it flowing. You guys are very much with us with that. And we're excited to build this channel and connect with you and feel you. And we just love and appreciate you guys for showing up. So please like, please subscribe, please share with others. I think it's very liberating for us to talk so honestly about relationship. And this channel is all about how the future of our relationship with the planet, with each other, with career, with education, with resources, and how just these conversations are the seeds for the world that we know is truly possible because it comes from such a deep, authentic heart. Deep, raw, authentic conversation radically changes lives and therefore changes the world. And so these conversations are literally a seeding for the utopia that we believe and we know is possible. And we're creating it in our day in, day out. And it's through our art, it's through our movement, it's through our breath, it's through the radical honesty. So we bid you adieu and see you next time.